Hello friends, in the past few lectures we have been considering the oxidation of materials at high temperature. Even though we began with a generalized consideration of understanding how the surface of a material would respond to a given corrosive environment at high temperature, we restricted or we began focusing on oxidation owing to the range of the application where this particular corrosive behavior of the material is observed. So in this oxidation, or while considering the high temperature oxidation of the material, again when I say material, our focus is largely on pure metals as of now. So when we considered oxidation, we focused largely on the aspects that we consider to be critical were two. So these aspects are the stability of the oxide layer that is being formed on the surface of the metal, and the other is the rate of the oxidation. Like the stability of several events that we have considered in this series of lectures, the stability of the metal oxide in the previous lecture we considered by treating the change in the free energy of the system when it experiences or when you observe the oxidation in that metal. So this change in the free energy, we saw it is dependent on the metal. So it is depending on the metal that oxidizes, the free energy change varies when the free energy change is large in the negative regime. So we are largely focusing on the negative quadrant of your coordinate system, and in this negative quadrant, when you have the free energy change is quite large, then you have the formation of a stable oxide. So a large free energy change would render stable oxide, and similarly when the free energy change is small, the stability of the metal oxide that is being formed is low. So in order to enhance the stability of the metal oxide, you introduce the elements with large stability or large change in the free energy onto the elements with the low change in the free energy. So therefore you introduce a selective oxidation, meaning the elements with a large change in the free energy or more stable metal oxide will form, and when this form and occupy the surface, this prevents the stability of this particular metal oxide that is being formed by the alloying element that is added, or the alloying element that characterizes a significant change in the free energy. This stable metal oxide prevents the exposure of the underlying metals. So this is one aspect that one understanding that we gained from analyzing the stability of the metal oxide with respect to the change in the free energy. The other aspect is that the one that is important to us is with increase in temperature, the change in the free energy, which corresponds to the stability of the material, it decreases. So therefore the stability correspondingly decreases. So there are two aspects. One is the stability of the metal oxide, it is dependent on the metal, and this can be understood by amount of the free energy change that is experienced during the formation of the metal oxide. And based on this understanding, you can choose the alloying element in order to enhance the corrosive resistance of a given metal. Secondly, when you talk about the influence of the temperature on the stability of the metal oxide, we saw the change in the free energy, it decreases with increase in the temperature. So that means the stability of the metal oxide for a given metal, it decreases with the increase in the temperature. Now, after considering the stability aspect of the metal oxide, we moved into considering the rate of oxidation. So the initial consideration or the initial aspect that we considered was, in order to understand the rate of oxidation, was the nature of the metal oxide that is being formed in a metal. So when we talked about the nature of the metal oxide, our focus was largely on the porosity. Now, to understand the porosity or the porous nature of the metal oxide, we considered the amount of oxygen that is being consumed during the formation of the metal oxide and rate it to the amount of metal that is being consumed. Supposing the amount of oxygen that is being consumed was much less than the amount of metal that was being consumed, then in those cases the metal oxide that resulted was porous in nature. So this expression or this relation wherein the amount of oxygen that is being consumed, the amount of oxygen that is available for the oxidation of the metal is relatively less when compared to the metal, you ultimately end up having a porous network of metal oxide, and this relation can be expressed by considering the ratio of the amount of oxygen that is being consumed with respect to the amount of metal that is being consumed. So when you express this relation in the form of the ratio, we end up with Pilling Bedsworth ratio. So what does Pilling Bedsworth ratio does is it just relates or takes the ratio of the amount of oxygen that is being consumed during the formation of a metal oxide and relates it to the amount of metal that is being consumed. So when this is less than 1, you have the formation of a porous network of metal oxide. And when you have, so again, this depends on the nature of the metal. And when you have a small amount or when you have a significant amount of metal reacting with a small amount of oxygen, you have the formation of porous metal oxide. And that is what is being expressed in the numerical terms by considering the Pilling-Bedsworth ratio. Supposing if this ratio is reversed, meaning, or rather if this relation is reversed, meaning the amount of metal consumed, or rather the amount of oxygen consumed is much greater than the amount of metal consumed, then in those cases you would have a non-porous network or non-porous metal oxide that is formed. So when the amount of oxygen consumed is greater than the amount of metal that is consumed, again this is the property of the metal. So to form a particular oxide, when the amount of oxide that is being consumed is much greater than the amount of metal that is being involved in the formation of the metal oxide, you ultimately end up with a non-porous metal oxide. The way the porosity relates to understanding the rate of oxidation is because in high porous oxide layers, the mobility of the ions that ultimately govern the rate of oxidation. Again, the rate of oxidation we treated in the theoretical framework as the increase in the thickness of the existing layer of metal oxide. So to increase in the thickness of the existing layer of metal oxide, you need to have propagation of ions. This can be either the propagation of metallic ion, or this can be either the propagation of the oxygen ion. So when you have a medium that allows for a sufficient propagation or a high degree of propagation of this ion, so it means that the rate of oxidation is enhanced. The rate at which the thickness grows is enhanced. So in this way, the nature of the porosity or the nature of the metal oxide influences the rate of the oxidation. So when you have a porous medium or when you have a porous metal oxide, in that oxide the ions easily propagate. So that means they enhance the overall oxidation rate when compared to that of the non-porous medium, wherein you don't have sufficient free space for the ions to propagate. So in this way, the nature of the metal oxide, it influences the overall oxidation rate. Now more specifically, towards the end of the previous lecture, we saw one of such consideration. We saw that when you are, just as an example, when you have a medium, that is a metal oxide medium, which is sufficiently porous that the ions transverse towards that medium at a very high speed, then ultimately the oxidation rate is not governed by the mobility of the ions in that medium. So what we mean by that is, once you have the formation of metal oxide, if you could recollect our previous lectures, you have three different systems. So one is your pure metal system, the other is your metal oxide system, and the other is your oxygen rich environment. Now we are talking about the nature of this MO, and we are now considering a very porous metal oxide. Now in the porous metal oxide, when you have the ions that are propagating at a very high rate because of the nature of the MO, or it could also be some other principle as well. Maybe the diffusivities of the moving ions are higher, so that could also lead to such a consideration wherein the mobility of the ions within the metal oxide is higher. So porosity is one factor that could render such a behavior, and mobility of the diffusing ion could be another factor that could render this behavior. So irrespective of what factors renders the high mobility of the ion within the metal oxide, it could be understood that when you have high mobility, the rate at which the metal oxide moves, it does not depend on the thickness of the metal oxide. So if you are seeing the thickness of the metal oxide is X, since the rate at which the ions move is very fast and the thickness of the metal oxide is relatively slow, the rate of the oxidation is not governed by the mobility of the ions within the metal oxide. To put it even more in a generalized term, since the mobility or the movement of the ions across the metal oxide layer, since it happens too fast, they cannot be the rate governing one or the rate determining one. So they do not govern the rate of the overall reaction because they are so instantaneous. So in that case, the rate of the oxidation, which is expressed theoretically as the change in the width of the MO, or the change in the width of the metal oxide, it is independent of the thickness of the metal oxide. And irrespective of what your thickness of your metal oxide is, since the propagation of the ions, it happens so fast, these are not governed, or the rate or the overall rate is not governed by the diffusion of the ions within the metal oxide. Therefore, the overall rate in such a case is a constant, which we express it as KL. Now, this is the rate at which the thickness of the metal oxide changes. Now, when you integrate this expression here, you can ultimately arrive at an expression which, or a relation that tells us what would be the thickness of the metal oxide at a given time t. So that expression, when you integrate these two, or this relation here, the expression that talks about the thickness of the metal oxide at a given time t is of this manner. So it's L here, and you have your L and T. So there is, with time, a constant increase in the thickness of the metal oxide when the mobility of the ions are so high that the thickness do not govern the overall rate of the oxidation. So when you have a system which is porous in nature, or which has highly diffusive ions that causes the oxidation, in those cases the overall rate of diffusion is not governed by, or the overall rate of oxidation is not governed by rate at which the ions diffuse within the metal oxide. In such a case, you have this relation wherein the thickness of a material at a given point or a given instant t is directly proportional to the time t, or it's linearly proportional to the time t. Therefore, this oxidation rate is referred to as the linear oxidation rate. So the condition wherein you would observe the linear oxidation rate is when the diffusion of ions within the metal oxide is much faster, or you could say it is instantaneous. So in this condition, you have a linear oxidation rate. So what it means is that the rate of the oxidation, it is not dependent on the thickness of the metal oxide, and the thickness of the metal oxide at a given time t is linearly proportional to that of the time, and the constant of proportionality is the term here. Now, when the mobility of the ions within the metal oxide is not the governing factor for the oxidation rate, the other factor that can govern this oxidation would be the mobility of the ions externally. So when you consider the oxidation of a pure metal, So there are two diffusions that are possible. One is the diffusion within the metal oxide. The other is the diffusion away from the metal oxide or externally to that of the metal oxide. So only when you have sufficient amount of metal that is present in this region and also oxygen that is present in this region. So sufficient amount of metal if it is present in this region and sufficient amount of oxygen if it is present in this region, you would have successful formation of metal oxide. If you don't have sufficient amount of oxygen that is present in the external interface, you wouldn't have the sufficient or the essential conditions that needs to be fulfilled for the formation of metal oxide. So therefore, even though the diffusion within the metal oxide or the metal oxide layer does not govern this particular oxidation, it is important that the oxygen that is present here should be sufficient enough for the formation of the new layers of metal oxide, or in the other case, the metal ions in this layer should be sufficient enough for the formation of metal oxide. Now, once you have the layer that has already been consumed, you need to have the fresh supply of metal ions. So this being a solid metal, the fresh supply of metal ions is always there. In most cases, it is always there. However, the same cannot be said for oxygen-rich environment, because we do not have a solid or a definite proportion or a definite concentration of oxygen in air. So therefore, in such a case, the diffusion parameter that governs this particular rate or particular oxidation is not the diffusion of the ions within the metal oxide or diffusion of the ions in the pure metal, but it is the diffusion of the oxygen in the external region. So in order to ensure that there is the essential supply of oxygen for the formation of the metal oxide, then you need to have the diffusivity that will supply, sufficient diffusivity that will supply the concentration of oxygen, or that will ensure that the sufficient amount of oxygen is present in this surface. So this can be related to that of the partial pressure of the oxygen. So in order to ensure the partial pressure of the oxygen in this layer, you need to have a sufficient diffusion of oxygen. So one factor or one diffusivity factor that governs the linear oxidation rate is not the diffusivity within the metallic or metal oxide layer. It is often the diffusivity in the corrosive environment, so or the external environment. So this diffusivity in the external environment offers some influence on the oxidation rate, or particularly in the material that exhibits a linear oxidation rate. So this is something that we need to remember, because when you consider the influence of temperature in a material that renders a linear oxidation rate, you need to have a parameter that governs the oxidation rate, that can be related to that of the temperature, because of course we are concerned with the high temperature corrosion and we need a parameter that relates to that is dependent on the temperature. Now when the diffusivity within the metal oxide is already fast, there is not much influence of the temperature. So the one influence comes from the diffusivity within the corrosive medium, the constant supply of the oxygen. So in that case, when you have an increased temperature, there is the essential supply of the oxygen is ensured and the linear oxidation rate is sustained. So you need to have a temperature wherein the partial pressure of the oxygen is maintained. This means that the oxygen is continuously being supplied to the surface of the metal oxide, and this is possible when you have a sufficient amount of diffusivity of oxygen, and this can be ensured at high temperature. Now the other way the temperature influences the linear oxidation rate or material exhibiting the linear oxidation rate is through the constant, the proportionality constant Kl, which is expressed as or in the form of an Arrhenius equation, wherein you have a proportionality constant, you have an activation energy term that is involved, and correspondingly the term that can be related to the thermal energy. So what this says is that this constant rate or the proportionality constant, it talks about the reaction between the metal and the oxygen, irrespective of the mechanism, irrespective of the diffusivity. This particular constant term, it talks about the reaction between the metal and the oxygen when these two are in contact. So therefore, the influence of temperature when you have a material exhibiting linear oxidation rate, in addition to influencing the diffusivity of oxygen, the temperature also influences the proportionality constant. So as the temperature increases, the proportionality constant also increases. So that means even in the linear oxidation rate, the temperature influences in two different manners. One is by enhancing the diffusivity of oxygen in the environment, thereby ensuring that there is a constant supply of oxygen for the oxidation to form. Secondly, what you have is the temperature influencing the rate constant. So that means when this rate constant is influenced, so you have the thickness as a function of time and temperature, then the rate constant is influenced by the temperature, and therefore at a higher temperature for a given time you would have, supposing this would be at a higher temperature, the thickness at a given time t would be higher when the temperature is higher. So what you have is the thickness at temperature t, just the constant. It's not the ratio or anything, it's just to indicate constant. We have a straight line, so it's just a numerical way of representing the thickness at constant temperature T2, the thickness at constant temperature T1. When you have a T2, the temperature T2 is greater than T1, then your relation here is satisfied. Meaning when you have when the system is operating at a higher temperature and this system exhibit a linear oxidation rate, because of the influence of temperature on the proportionality constant, the thickness of the oxidation layer will be higher in the material that is operating, or when the temperature is higher. So we have two similar material operating at two different temperatures. Because of the influence of temperature on the proportionality constant, even though both these materials exhibit a linear oxidation rate, the material that is operating at higher temperature would have a thicker oxide layer when compared to the same material that is operating at the lower temperature. So in these ways, one is by ensuring the supply of oxygen and other is by influencing the proportionality constant. The temperature influences the material that exhibit linear oxidation rate. Now let us move away from the material that exhibits the linear oxidation rate and consider what are the other ways one can postulate or one can theoretically express the oxidation rate in a material or in a pure metal. Now we saw that when you have a porous medium, then the diffusivity within the porous medium will not influence the overall oxidation rate. Now let us move away from that premise into a new premise wherein the diffusion within the metal oxide layer governs the overall oxidation rate. So in the premise one, in the case one, when we talked about linear oxidation rate, the fundamental foundation on which we built was the diffusion within the metal oxide. It does not govern or it does not influence the overall oxidation rate. Now we move away from that premise. We consider case 2, or we consider case 2 rather, wherein the diffusion of ions within the metal oxide influences, so we can say primarily influence the rate of oxidation. So what we then have is, depending on how fast the metal oxide or the ions are propagating within the metal oxide layer, the rate of oxidation or the oxidation rate as a whole is dependent on it. So that means when you have a thicker metal oxide layer, the oxidation rate will be smaller when compared to a thinner metal oxide layer. So when you have X2, which is a thicker metal oxide layer, and X1, which is a thinner metal oxide layer, when compared to X2 and X1, since in this case the overall oxidation rate is dependent on the mobility of the ions within the metal oxide, in case of thicker metal oxide, the rate will be smaller when compared to the thinner metal oxide. So that means the rate of oxidation is inversely proportional to that of the thickness of the metal oxide. So the greater the thickness of the metal oxide, the larger or the longer it will take for the ions to traverse towards within it. So that means the rate at which the oxidation is being exhibited is inversely proportional to that of the thickness of the metal oxide that is being present. So now we can remove this proportionality sign by introducing a constant. Rather, and now this is an expression for how the oxidation rate changes with the thickness of the metal oxide. Now, when you have a greater metal oxide of huge thickness, correspondingly the oxidation rate decreases. So, with increase in the thickness of the metal oxide, the oxidation rate keeps on progressively decreasing. Now, we want to integrate, like we did for the linear oxidation rate, we want to integrate these expressions to calculate what is the thickness at a given instant t. So for that, we can bring this x here and dt here. So x dx, kp dt, and when we integrate, we end up with an expression that looks something like this. So what we have is, at a given time t, the thickness can be expressed in this manner. So what you have is a parabolic relation, since the x is to the power of 2, and the relation between the thickness and time is expressed through the constant kp, and the p term here represents parabolic. So, and this relation is a parabolic relation, so therefore this whole oxidation rate is referred to as the parabolic oxidation rate. So what does this parabolic oxidation rate characterizes is that the diffusion or the rate of diffusion of the ions within the metal oxide, they govern the overall oxidation rate. So when you have thicker metal oxide, then the oxidation rate or the time taken for the diffusion of the ions is becomes longer rather, and therefore the oxidation rate is inversely proportional to that of the thickness of the metal oxide. Now when you integrate it, in order, if you have to calculate the thickness of a metal oxide at a given time t, you end up with a parabolic relation, and therefore this rate of oxidation or the is referred to as the parabolic oxidation rate. So the one characterizing feature is that in parabolic oxidation rate, the diffusion of ion or the rate of diffusion of ions within the metal oxide, it governs the overall oxidation rate. So the way it governs is that when you have a larger or a thicker metal oxide, the longer it will take for the ions to traverse towards across it, and therefore you begin with the inverse relation. This inverse relation ultimately leads to the parabolic expression. So you have linear oxidation rate, and wherein the diffusion of ions within the metal oxide is instantaneous, it is so fast that it doesn't contribute to the rate of oxidation, and exactly opposite to it, you have parabolic oxidation rate, wherein the rate is entirely governed by the diffusion of oxygen within the metal oxide, and from that you end up with this relation here. Now for the ions to traverse across the metal oxide, if you consider some the thermodynamical aspect of it, the traverse of the ions from either from the internal interface to the external interface, or the external interface to the internal interface, depending on the mechanism, these all are dependent on a driving force. Only when you have a sufficient driving force, you will have the migration of ion from one end to another end. So when you have two ends, that is the internal interface here and the external interface here, you need to have a thermodynamical driving force for the ions to move either from the external to the internal interface or from the internal to the external interface. So this gradient, or rather this driving force, is expressed in terms of a difference in the concentration, which in more technical terms is referred to as the gradient in the concentration, because when you have a spot with high concentration of a given component or a given element, and a point within the same system which has the lower concentration of the given element, then the concentration from or the component from the higher concentration, it moves towards the lower concentration. So this difference is what we refer to as the gradient, and this gradient is what renders the movement of ions from one interface to the other interface. Now this movement of ions can be quantified by considering calculating the amount of ions that propagate for a given instant of time across a given unit area, and this we refer to as the flux. So the amount of migration of the ions can be quantified as in terms of the flux, and by invoking the first Fick's law, you can express the flux of the ions across the metal oxide in this manner. So here d ion is the diffusivity of the ions that is migrating within the metal oxide, and the governing or the driving force for the flux is the gradient in the concentration. So here dx is it talks about the spatial position, and c is the concentration. And now for the sake of our discussion, let us assume that it is the metal ion that is migrating. It is the concentration or the gradient in the concentration of the metal ion. So what we now have considered is, so since the parabolic oxidation rate is governed by the diffusion of the ions within the metal oxide region, we are now considering the amount or quantifying the amount of metal oxide that is propagating to the amount of metal ion, the amount of ion that is propagating through the metal oxide. Of course, you can arrive at the same expression for the mechanism too, wherein it is the oxygen ion that is propagating. So for this discussion, we are considering sticking with one mechanism wherein the metal ion is propagating across the metal oxide, and the expression for we are quantifying the amount of metal ion that is propagating, and that we are doing or treating it as the flux. And from the Fick's first law, we are a definite expression for the flux, and we have written it down here. Now this is nothing but the gradient in the concentration of the metal ion. So the gradient in the concentration of the metal ion is nothing but the difference in the concentration of the metal ion when you consider the internal interface and compare it with the external interface. So in the internal interface, supposing you would have a definite concentration of the metal ion. So this is internal, and the same concentration cannot be expected when in the surface or the external surface wherein the ion is in contact, or the metal ion is in contact with the oxidation or oxygen. So in that external interface, the concentration of the metal ion is significantly lower. So there is a gradient here that acts as the driving force for the diffusion of the metal ion. So this gradient, so this difference in the concentration of the metal ion in the internal interface and the external interface. So this can be written as external rather, instead of out, it is external. So this difference in the concentration of metal ion in the internal interface and the external interface, it acts as the gradient, and this is what we have here, and this gradient is what governs the driving force for the propagation of the metal ion from the external interface to the internal interface for the growth of oxidation. Now, supposing this thickness x here is very small, then this expression can be written as the diffusivity term of the metal ion and CMIN, that is the internal concentration of the metal and the external concentration of the metal divided by the thickness of the metal oxide region. So what we have done is we have assumed that the thickness of the metal oxide is relatively small and rewritten the gradient of the concentration by just considering the difference in the concentration in the internal interface and to that of the external interface. Now this can be related, since it is the flux that governs the overall rate of the reaction. Like we have seen, in the one factor that characterizes the parabolic oxidation rate is the movement or the overall oxidation rate. In case of this parabolic consideration, it is the diffusion of the ions within the metal oxide. It governs the overall oxidation rate. So therefore we can relate this expression to to that of the thickness in the oxide, metal oxide layer, which is expressed in this manner. So this is where we began our discussion on the parabolic oxidation rate. So what we have in the parabolic oxidation rate is that the overall oxidation rate depends on the rate at which the ions migrate within the metal oxide region. Now, within the metal oxide region, the migration, we have expressed it in terms of flux. So it is possible for us to relate the flux, which talks about the overall migration of the ions within the metal oxide, to that of the oxidation rate, which also is dependent on the overall migration of ions within the metal oxide. So we have flux that talks about the migration of ions within the metal oxide. We have the rate of oxidation that again depends on the migration of ion across the metal oxide. Since both these are fundamentally dependent on the same parameter, that is the same event, that is the migration of ions across the metal oxide, we can relate these two and arrive at an expression for the proportionality constant, the parabolic proportionality constant, which is of this form. So all that we are doing is we are considering the difference in the concentration of metal ion externally and internally. We have the diffusivity term here, and here there is a new term that talks about the atomic volume of the metal ion that is diffusing. So the reason we need to have or introduce the atomic volume is because once you have the accumulation of the ion at one of the interface, that the interface needs to move, the amount at which the interface needs to move is dependent on the atomic volume of the metal ion. So therefore what we have essentially done is by relating the fundamentals of the flux of ions across the metal oxide to that of the parabolic oxidation rate, which is fundamentally or primarily dependent on the diffusion of metal ions across the interface, we have now arrived at an expression for the constant of proportionality for parabolic oxidation rate. Now here, this constant of proportionality is dependent on the diffusivity of ion within the metal oxide region. So since the diffusivity of the ion, or any diffusivity for that matter, depends on the temperature, the influence of temperature in the parabolic oxidation rate is rather definite, and this influence is through the diffusivity of ions that is traversing through the metal oxide. So what we have now seen is, in addition to the linear oxidation rate, wherein the overall oxidation rate is independent of the mobility of ions across the metal oxide, because across the metal oxide it is possible that the mobility of the ions are so fast, so therefore the mobility or the migration of ions across the metal oxide is independent of the oxidation rate or the overall oxidation rate. That will lead you to the linear oxidation rate. Supposing on the other hand you have a system wherein the overall oxidation rate is dependent on the migration of atom across the interface, then what you essentially have is the diffusivity of the interface of the ions across the interface or the metal oxide. It principally governs the rate of the oxidation. So the rate of the parabolic or the parabolic rate of oxidation is fundamentally governed by the diffusivity of ion across the diffusivity of ion within the metal oxide. Since the diffusivity of ion within the metal oxide is governed by the temperature, you have a direct influence of the temperature on the parabolic oxidation rate. Now if you could consider here, so this term, it varies with the time, and this term is what governs the oxidation rate or what dictates the oxidation rate. And these terms are material constants. They depend on the material and they also depend on the environment. Now the only term that could be dependent on the temperature, again the atomic volume is also a material constant. So the term that could be dependent or that could be influenced by the temperature is the diffusivity. So the diffusivity or the influence of temperature on the parabolic oxidation rate is rather straightforward. With the increase in temperature, the diffusivity of ions within the metal oxide proportionately increases, thereby enhancing the rate of parabolic oxidation. Now what we have seen is, we have seen linear oxidation rate, we have seen parabolic oxidation rate. Now experimentally it has been observed that there could also be a cubic oxidation rate, wherein the rate or the thickness of the So the third one, wherein you have the cubic oxidation rate. So the expression, the characteristic expression for the cubic oxidation rate is of this form, wherein the thickness at the instance T is governed by this relation. This has been purely an experimentally observed one. There is not much theoretical basis for it, and so this expression for or this is the characteristic expression for the cubic oxidation rate. Now there is one more oxidation rate that we need to consider, that is the logarithmic oxidation rate. So this logarithmic oxidation rate is observed at relatively low temperature. So what this logarithmic oxidation rate, or let us consider the expression for the logarithmic oxidation rate. It is of this form, wherein the thickness of a material that is oxidizing under this logarithmic oxidation rate at a given time t. So thickness of the metal oxide at a given time t in a material that is oxidizing in the logarithmic oxidation this rate, the logarithmic oxidation rate is expressed as K log, which is the constant of proportionality, and log A T plus 1. So this is the expression, characteristic expression for the logarithmic oxidation rate, wherein a metal is oxidizing at a rate wherein the thickness at a given point T is given by this expression. Now if you plot this expression, you would understand that the rate of oxidation is initially higher and it progressively decreases. So what essentially we have is, in all the other cases we have a definite oxidation rate. In case of the linear one, you have a constant oxidation rate, and in case of parabolic you have a definite concentration oxidation rate, and in case of the cubic we have a definite oxidation rate. And all these oxidation rate, they do not depend on time, they do not vary with time, so they are constants. Even though they depend on the thickness of the metal oxide, they do not vary with time. However, when you consider this logarithmic oxidation rate, it depends on time. So even though in the initial stages the logarithmic oxidation rate in this logarithmic oxidation rate, the rate is higher, as the time proceeds the rate progressively decreases. So this is one of the characteristic features of the logarithmic oxidation rate. So what we have seen is, we have seen linear oxidation rate, parabolic oxidation rate, cubic oxidation rate, and finally logarithmic oxidation rate. So in all these, only one oxidation rate is dependent on temperature. It varies with the temperature, and that is the logarithmic oxidation rate. So before winding this lecture up, I just wanted to tell you how physically these different oxidation rates are observed. So even though it is easy for us to theoretically relate or formulate a specific oxidation rate by considering which event governs that particular oxidation, physically it is rather convoluted. So physically, there is often not one oxidation rate that governs the overall oxidation of the material. Particularly when you have an high temperature oxidation, it is not just one oxidation rate that governs the overall oxidation of a metal. Now again, when we talk about high temperature, it is not just one temperature, it is a definite temperature, or there is a definite ranges of temperature. So therefore, the way the different oxidation rate occupies in the range of temperature is, when you have a relatively low temperature, you have logarithmic oxidation rate. So meaning, initially, so when you consider high temperature oxidation, again the high temperature oxidation is not one definite temperature, you have a range of temperature. At the relatively low temperature regime, or in the relatively low temperature range, you have the rate at which the oxidation happens is dependent on this logarithmic oxidation rate, and this is characterized by an initial high level of oxidation rate and a gradually decreasing one. And now in the high temperature regime, we move from the low temperature range to an average temperature range. You have a parabolic oxidation rate. So when you move away from the low temperature range, wherein the oxidation rate is dependent on time, to a region wherein to an average temperature in the high temperature range. Again, when we are talking about low temperature average temperature and high temperature, all these are within the high temperature range because we are considering the high temperature range. So in the low temperature range of the high temperature, the relatively low temperature range, you have a logarithmic oxidation rate. When you have the average temperature range within the high temperature range, then you would have a parabolic oxidation rate. So in case of the parabolic oxidation rate, you have the oxidation rate that is governed by the thickness of the metal oxide that is already present. And in the high temperature range, so if you have a temperature range and in the highest end of it or the maximum end of it, you would have the linear oxidation rate. So this is conceivable for us because when you are in the maximum range of the high temperature, it means the ions have sufficient amount of diffusivity, so they can traverse or they can move within the metal oxide without much lag in them. So when you are talking about a range of temperature and you are focusing on the maximum range of temperature or the highest range of temperature, in those conditions the diffusivities are considerably high. So therefore what essentially happens is when the diffusivity are higher, the time taken for the ions to traverse through the metal oxide or move across the metal oxide, it does not need much of a time to move across it. So therefore the overall oxidation rate is not influenced by the diffusivity of ions across the metal oxide. So this occurs at the high temperature. So therefore within the range of high temperature, and when you are considering the higher end of it or the maximum end of it, you have a linear oxidation rate. And in the average, there is a dependency. The diffusivity plays a role in the overall oxidation rate. So therefore what you observe is a parabolic oxidation rate. And in the lower end of the high temperature range, you have a logarithmic oxidation rate. So this is what physically is observed. So physically, depending on the temperature, as the temperature increases, so you observe this relation here. So there have been conditions, or there have been cases wherein there are materials wherein this is slightly reversed. So there are some characteristic materials wherein these are it has been experimentally observed that this progressive change in the oxidation rate can be reversed between the parabolic and the linear oxidation rate. However, there is not much change in the logarithmic oxidation rate that operates in the relatively low temperature of the high temperature range. Now physically, there is an influence of the temperature. So depending on the temperature or the range of temperature that you consider within the high temperature range, you can have for a given material different oxidation rates. So this is something that you need to consider while you are talking in the physical terms. In addition to the time, there is also, in addition to the temperature rather, the time also plays, or time also changes the oxidation rate that is operational. So with time, the oxidation rate that is operational will also change, and this is primarily between, or the change is primarily between linear and parabolic. So it has been observed that after sufficient time, once the sufficient amount of metal oxide are being formed, then the oxidation rate changes from linear, which is independent of the thickness of the metal oxide, to parabolic, which is dependent on the thickness of metal oxide. Again, this is easy for us to conceive, because when you have metal oxide that is so thin, then it means that ions can easily move across it. So that means this thickness of the metal oxide doesn't play a role in the oxidation rate. So therefore what you ultimately end up having is a linear oxidation rate. However, as the thickness of the metal oxide gets more increased as the time progresses, the ions have to move across a larger distance. So that means the dependency of the oxidation rate on the thickness of the metal oxide comes into play. So therefore there is a change from linear to parabolic oxidation rate. So once you have the thickness of the metal oxide influencing the oxidation rate, you ultimately have a parabolic oxidation rate. So what we have so far seen is, we have seen the different oxidation rate and what are the ways these oxidation rate are observed in the physical condition. So we will build on this in the next lecture, wherein we will be focusing on the diffusion of ion across the metal oxide. Goodbye.